Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right back into the scam series. And I want to talk about Publishers Clearing House. Now, Publishers Clearing House is a legitimate organization. They've been around since 1952. However, their name has always been used in some type of scam. Let me share my screen and let me bring it up for you. And basically, and this is from Forbes, avoid the Publishers Clearinghouse scam. Again, this year, one of our clients called us because we had won a Publishers Clearinghouse prize of $18.5 million and needed to speak with me as soon as possible. Already without more information, there are red flags. Now, the client had received a phone call indicating that Publishers Clearinghouse selected him as a backup winner when the first winner did not satisfy everything. He was told the process of receiving the prize was complex. It involved proof of ID and going to his bank in order to make a tax payment. Now, let me stop there. First of all, when it comes to a backup winner, I have never heard of a backup winner for Publishers Clearing House. Now, of course, you're going to need proof of ID. Now, going to the bank to make a tax payment, you don't make a tax payment by going to your bank. If you have to send the IRS or even your state taxes information, you would mail it to that agency that handles taxes, like your State Department of Revenue, the IRS. Now, back to the topic. In this article, they were also going to give him a new car. Now, because of some specific tax laws, the client was told that $850,000 in federal taxes were immediately due to the IRS. His bank could handle that, but he would need $58,580 in his checking account to pay state taxes. Now, again, recognize the red flag. $850,000. Now, generally, when you win a lump sum, and I'll give you an example because I've seen it when individuals won at casinos, the feds are going to get their money right off the bat. Generally, if you have any winnings, I believe it's $500 or greater, they're going to take taxes. But the red flag here is you have to have almost $60,000 in your bank account for state taxes. That doesn't make sense anyway. Now, when you win a large sum of money, you're going to have a lot of hands in your pocket, including your family members. But in this article, he was calling his financial advisor, and his financial advisor was basically there to free up enough cash to transfer money to his checking account. Now, to people like me who are skeptical, and when it comes to people, especially when they have their hands in my pocket, I'm very mistrusting at heart. So it is easy to recognize this is a scam. This is a lottery scam. And you know who gets caught up in most of these scams? elderly people. Why? Because they don't know any better. They're desperate because they don't understand what's going on. Now, again, one of the many elderly scams aim to separate a retiree from their money. That's what it's all about. Now, if you are not experienced, a scam can seem legitimate. Again, I've always said if something is too good to be true, it's a scam because sooner or later, you're going to have to go down some complex roads to find out that what you have isn't what it really seems to be, or what was stated to you really wasn't stated to what it was meant to be. In other words, let me go back and put it in layman's terms. It sounded too good to be true. And if something sounds too good to be true, always question it. Now, recently, there was a woman with a thick foreign accent who was calling a gentleman from another state's Department of Revenue. Now, again, that's another scam because I've had this happen to me as well. Had individuals call me when I lived in Pennsylvania about my taxes. However, they were calling me from Maryland and I lived in Pennsylvania. Now, unless I owed the state of Maryland taxes, that was one issue, but I didn't owe the state of Maryland any taxes. The person who called me did have a foreign accent and they were trying to get information from me so they could scam me. It didn't work. This is the same thing that has happened here. Again, let me go back to the article. And this is the individual who was talking. And he says, recently, I had a woman with a thick accent. Now, again, I'm not stereotyping all Middle Eastern people and Nigerians because they have a thick accent of being scammers. But you have to look at it. A lot of your scams come from the Nigerians and the Middle Eastern individuals. I know. And I've done videos on Medicare, Social Security, and I've gotten the phone calls from individuals who were portraying, whether it was a police officer or IRS agent. But right here, this is somebody that has been contacting individuals posing as Publishers Clearinghouse. Now, again, she had a thick accent and she was calling this gentleman from another state's Department of Revenue. She said, we had failed to file our quarterly tax payment for the last past 2 quarters. She also said our information was all blank. So if I would provide the information to her, she would make sure that it was filled in properly. So basically, from the call that this gentleman got from this woman, she raised many red flags that were suspected to be a scam. First, I will say this, the IRS, your state Department of Revenue, they don't call you. They do not call you. Now, what they will do is send you a letter that you owe taxes. Now, normally, and this is very, very true because I've tried to get in contact with the IRS when I had an issue. You can't get in contact with the IRS or your state's Department of Revenue without at least a half hour or greater you won't, let me back it up. You're not going to be able to get in contact with the IRS or your state Department of Revenue unless you're going to wait a long time. A half hour is a short time. Sometimes you're going to wait longer. And the funny thing about it is, with the IRS and even your state Department of Revenue, they'll tell you they're open at 8:30, and when you call at 8:30, they're not open. And secondly, when it comes to any types of Department of Taxations, they don't make courtesy calls. Instead, they send letters, and it can be very daunting and scary if you don't know how to comprehend what the letter says. Now, the gentleman in this article basically told the individual with a foreign accent that he suspected that she was scamming him. So she's not going to get any information. Now, what he said is, I would pass her concern on to his payroll department to see if they were filing the payroll for the remote employees correctly. Now, from the article, it turns out she was legitimate. Now, apparently, some state agencies really do call you if they want their tax revenue, regardless. That's once in a lifetime when it comes to individuals with foreign accents. Now, again, I'm not trying to stereotype, but they are some good scammers. But just because it happened this one time, you shouldn't trust them. Now, the client told the story. He put the facts out there, and he just concluded that the story was a scam. Now, first, I just want to say this again about Publishers Clearinghouse. It is a legitimate organization. You do win prizes from Publishers Clearinghouse. And I will tell you this, Publishers Clearinghouse never calls in advance of giving a prize. They just don't. Normally, they show up at your house with a big cardboard check and a film crew. Now, for lesser prizes, they may send you something in the mail. Spammers do not want to send you something in the mail because the punishment for mail fraud is a fine up to $1 million and imprisonment, and you may be in prison for up to 30 years. Now, additionally, sending something in the mail does cost money. So spamming you on the phone costs very little. Secondly, neither the IRS or state taxes are required to be paid in order to get your prize money. No taxes are owed before income or prizes are received. It is owed only afterwards at filing or via estimated payments. In fact, the entire tax code is based on voluntary compliance. These numbers are very strange. Why would 10% be owed for federal taxes and less than 0.32% owed for state taxes? I don't think these spammers know anything about U.S. tax law. Third, a real prize is never dependent on giving money first. This kind of requirement is even illegal for lotteries. So you have to be able to enter to win the prize without doing anything that would cost you any money. Furthermore, you must be able to receive the prize even if you don't own a phone. Perhaps the most frightening part of the story is that he was told that after he had the money in his bank account, a personal representative by the name of Norma Dixon would accompany him to the bank. This is exactly the same name used in the exact same scam in his report from over a year ago. This would mean that these scammers would have a local money mule posing as Norma Dixon, and she's the person who would accompany you to the bank so you can receive your cashier's check and then you go and cash it. While this may be an opportunity to arrest this person, it would also mean putting yourself at risk with this person. So I will say this. You have to have some smarts if you're going to scam the scammer. So before you try to scam the scammer, contact your local law enforcement before considering such action. Also, you should err on the side of safety and assume that anyone who would perpetrate such a scam would also have no conscience about using violence against you. While this may be the first time that you've ever encountered it, they have likely run this scam multiple times. Now, again, people who they prey on are your most vulnerable. And who are they? Your elderly. First, when it comes to any of these scams, you may even get some kids who are involved. But again, falling prey to an elder scam is sadly common. But there are other people besides elderly who get scammed as well. Now, I will tell you, these scammers are good at what they do. They are there's several steps ahead of you, especially if you don't read and you don't know the laws. Now, there are steps you can take to protect yourself. First, if you're an elderly person, you must be familiar. And if you're not familiar, start to familiarize yourself with the common 7 elder abuse scams. Know how they will try to trick you into giving up your information. Now, if you understand the scam, how they will try to trick you can also help protect you. Secondly, if you are a client of a fee-only fiduciary financial advisor, reach out to them anytime. You tell them you've been cold called for money. Over the years, in this article, says we have heard and learned to evaluate many different appeals for money, both from illegal scam artists, legal financial sales pitches, and real financial predicaments. That's real financial predicaments. Now, again, as fiduciaries, we are on your side to ensure that your goals are met. Again, I'm just going to say this. When it comes to elderly people, they're going to be scammed the most. Now, why are elderly people scammed? Particularly when it comes to something like Publishers Clearinghouse. Because elderly people, number one, they don't know any better. And the little money that they get from Social Security really is not enough to live off of. So they are believing they can have this big payday. However, it's not always what it seems. Now, what I'm going to do is show you a video. I'm going to show you a video, and it is about an elderly man who does get scammed. Again, it is about an elderly person who does get scammed, and just take a listen and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Fair use. Let's go.
Eric Olson from Helps Nonprofit Law Firm. At Helps, we talk to lots of seniors throughout the country. And it seems like several times a week, we'll talk with seniors throughout the country that have been taken advantage of or scammed. And I thought I would start doing some videos explaining some of these scams and do them in a regular fashion so that people can learn about how scammers take advantage of seniors. And I got a call from one of our paralegals today that talked to a gentleman who happened to live in the same area that Helps where our headquarters is at. And I talked to him on the phone and asked him if he wanted to come in the office and talk to me about his situation. And he's here, he's across the desk from me right now. We call him Lee. Welcome, Lee. Good to have you here.
Okay.
And he got taken advantage of by a fairly common scam. And so I'm just going to ask him some questions about it, and he's going to tell me in his own words how it happened. So, Lee, how did this start? Well, you got a telephone call from someone out of the blue?
I got a telephone call from a guy. He said he was from Publishers Clearinghouse, and his name was Todd, and he said I was a big winner. And so he said if I send him $5,000 or $8,000 or $10,000, well, then you get a big prize.
Now, again, first of all, Publishers Clearinghouse, and you have some other ones out here, they're voluntary. If somebody is asking you money so you can win a big prize, it's a scam. Now, this gentleman is going to continue to tell you how he got scammed. And I want you to take notes on this because it can happen to anybody. And it's very common. This is why you should pay attention to people who know how to talk in parables, slick talking, fast talking. I'm not saying that everybody who has a good mind for sales does this. However, I always know that if you have to pay a fee to get a prize or get money, know there's something suspicious going on. Fair use. Let's continue.
So, okay, so you got a call from a guy who said he was Todd, that you won
1.5 million.
1.5 million from Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
But you needed to send some money to him.
Yeah, for the IRS.
For the IRS?
Treasury.
Yeah.
And somebody else, he said. I don't remember who that other person.
Okay, and so you believed him.
I believed him, yeah.
And how did he talk to you that made you believe him? Did you have any suspicion at all when he called you?
No, I didn't.
No suspicion.
I thought he was. He said he was on the up and up, and he would be able to give me a big prize if I send all this different kind of money. So I sent this different kind of money.
Well, okay, so you sent different. Okay, what was the first amount of money you sent? You remember?
$5,000.
Okay, how was it sent?
It was sent in an envelope. It was wrapped up with masking tape.
Cash.
Cash. In an envelope.
Okay.
Wrapped up with masking tape.
Yeah.
And then they said they sent it to the.
First of all, we'll always tell you, you never send cash in the mail, first of all. And number two, the person. Now, I didn't take the phone call. The individual that's being talked to by this gentleman in the video, he spent $5,000. Now, if you think about it, you won $1.8 million. But you're sending $5,000, and I believe the video, he mentions taxes. Now, they do take taxes later on, and income taxes are voluntary, but you must understand any winnings. You could owe income taxes if you don't pay on those winnings. Now, of course, paying income taxes is really voluntary. Now, again, this individual, he thought he had a big payday, but he didn't. And he gave up money. It's the first time he gave up money. Let's listen to the video to see where this scam goes. Let's continue. Fair use.
IRS, and then the other one
Okay, so you sent it, you didn't send it to the IRS, you sent it to him, and he was gonna use it to pay the IRS, is that right?
That's what he said.
Okay, and was he the one who told you to send cash? Is that what he said?
Yeah, he told me to send
So
cash.
where'd you get the cash from?
From the bank, my bank, where I had my savings account,
Okay, and how much did you have in your savings account?
about $28,000.
Okay, so you go to the bank and you tell them, I need $5,000, is that
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
And did they ask you why you needed it?
yeah, I told him I was remodeling my house, but I really wasn't remodeling my house. I was sending to this guy who wanted the money.
Who gave you the idea to tell them that you were remodeling the house?
The guy from the Publishers Clearinghouse told me to tell me that.
The Todd told you to tell the
Yeah.
bank that if they ask
Yes.
you why you wanted the money?
Yes,
Okay, so you started out by sending him,
So the bank was going to ask him what he wanted the $5,000 for. So the gentleman told him to lie to the bank so we can get the $5,000. So basically, he paid this individual $5,000 so the taxes would get paid. Now, already, I will tell you this. If you give somebody some cash for anything, they're going to be gone and you'll never hear from them. Now, he had $28,000 in the bank. That's a big hit. However, he still has money in the bank. Now, there have been people who've been scammed out of all of their savings. But a lesson, if something sounds suspicious, take notes and start questioning. And just look at the situation with some common sense. And I always look at it this way because I remember coming up going to college. There were individuals who tried to scam some college students out of money for this reason. And I caught on to it quickly. Every year you had to fill out a FAFSA form to get financial aid. You had individuals that wanted you to pay them $150 or $120, and they're telling you how you can get all these financial aid programs. Well, basically, when I looked into the situation, individual wanted me to pay him $150 for something that I can do for free. And that's to fill out the FAFSA form. And he already told me what I already knew. Make yourself look poor. But what would I want to pay somebody money in order to get money? And getting money is not always guaranteed. Now, as I get into the video, I want you to listen closely at what's being stated. Again, I'm not slamming Publishers Clearinghouse. It's a good organization, but you have individuals who know how to use company websites, or they can imitate company websites to make it look like it's the actual company, something legitimate that you're talking to. And remember what I've always said. Don't listen to what people say, follow what they do. Fair use, fair use.
$5,000.
yeah. And then pretty soon I sent him $8,000.
Okay, did he call you later to send $8,000 or?
Yeah, yeah.
And how was that sent?
Well, it was in an envelope wrapped up with masking tape. Cash.
And do you remember what that money was going to be used
He
for?
said it was going to be for either IRS or the Treasury.
IRS or Treasury.
Yeah.
Okay. And was he assuring you all the time? He was convincing that you won this prize? And
Yeah.
and
He did.
what did he say? This was necessary for you to get the prize. You had to pay these taxes?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, okay, what happened after that? Did you send him some more money?
Yeah, I sent him some more money.
How much?
And then I think it was about $10,000.
And how did you send that?
All right, let me stop it right there. So first he sent them $5,000. Then he sent them $8,000. And then next thing you know, $10,000. So he has a bank account of $28,000. So he's basically depleting his savings to pay somebody because the person that's asking for the money says he won a prize from Publishers Clearinghouse. Now, basically, let's just look at it this way. When you send cash, and this is going to be repeated, don't expect to see that person again. Why? Because you can't trace cash. A credit card, something that deals with paper or electronic fund transfers, you can trace, you can stop payment on. But cash, once you give cash away, you'll never see it again. Fair use. Let's continue.
I sent it cash in an envelope.
Okay.
Masking tape.
Okay.
And so,
Did he ask you to send a cashier's check or anything like that?
well, one guy, yeah, he did one time. He told me to send a $8,000 cashier's check. So I sent an $8,000 check. I think he said it was going to somebody in Connecticut or something.
Okay. So, how much money do you think he took from you over this time?
Well, he took all my $28,000, and then every time I was sending all this stuff, I would have to go to FedEx and send it through the FedEx, and then I had to put that on my Visa card and my debit card on my Visa card, and then after a while he called up and called up on the phone. He said, I need for you to go down to the bank. He would call the bank and he would take the money out of my savings and put it into my checking account. And then I need for you to go to the 7-Eleven store and buy $500 gift certificates. So several times I went there, half a dozen different times, bought $500 gift certificates and sent it to the Publishers Clearinghouse because I still thought I was going to get a big prize. So when I ran out of money, then I knew I wasn't going to get no big prize. And he kept telling me, "Oh, we're on the up and up, and we'll give you a big prize, 1.5 million." And so I didn't get no big prize. Yeah, I got a big prize, no money.
No money.
Yeah.
So I mean, so he had to use your credit card also.
Yeah, my Visa card to send to the Publishers Clearinghouse.
So yet you borrowed money on he got money out of your credit card as well.
Yeah, and he got money out of my savings also.
And out of your savings, and so you ended up with a big debt on your credit card.
Yeah.
How much money on the credit card?
$19,000 and something.
So we're talking $50,000 or more.
Yes.
That's right, $50,000 or more. So he had to borrow money on his credit card. Remember, credit cards accrue interest. It'll take a long time to pay $19,000 back. He already depleted his bank account. Now, some trigger should have gone off after the first time he sent $5,000. I mean, you elderly people out there, and I just want to caution, listen to this video so you don't become a victim. When it comes to your money, and this is what you have to do, because you have people out there trying to take your money every day. Now, first of all, and this is the same thing I would see on, YouTube. Heck, you can tell me anything if you don't cam up. A lot of people hide behind avatars here on YouTube, but they have a lot to say. Well, the individual that you were talking to on the phone, while you were transferring all your money to him, he was living a life. You didn't know who he was. You couldn't see him. And because you couldn't see this person already had an agenda. He knew he was going to scam you. He knew you were vulnerable. But in the end, you kept on spilling everything you had out to him. And you got scammed big time. And now you're out of $47,000. This should be a lesson to anybody. When you are told you win a prize and you have to go pay money to pick up a prize that you thought you won. But what happened, you didn't win any prize and you were out of money. And you also had credit card debt. Fair use. Let's continue.
About $50,000.
that he took from you. And then finally, how did it end? When did you finally realize that this was a scam?
Well, he called me up. He said, called me up and he said, I'm gonna send you $25,000 in the mail, and then you can send it to the IRS and pay this debt off, and then you'll get the big prize. And I said, the hell with you, I'm not gonna give you no more. And he said, well, you can sell your home and get the money out of your home. I said, I'm not selling my home. And well, he didn't.
So at some point you understood.
Huh?
That by then you realized you were being taken advantage of.
Take advantage of, yeah.
Okay, now who'd you contact? Is there anyone you called after that?
No. Oh, I called the fraud company.
Okay.
And then I called the policeman.
Okay.
And then they said, well, because they had your Visa card number and your debit card number, there's your name on it, and so then there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, they just stole the money. You don't know who it. I have no idea who it was that took the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, he did something that I always say not to do. Once you give away your credit card number, now your identity is stolen. Because now he has your credit card information. Now, my question is, why didn't he figure out that he was being scammed after the first time? I mean, $5,000 to most of us is a lot of money. Many of us don't carry that kind of money. And then he turned around and gave him more money. He depleted his whole account. Why didn't he become proactive sooner? Why didn't he start asking questions? Because, like I said, a lot of these scammers, you don't even know where they are. He could have been over in India. He could have been over in Pakistan. You don't know where he's calling from. And see, these individuals, they know how to get disposable phones, have phone numbers. They're hard to track. And apparently, when you give away your information, you become an easy target. And this gentleman is an easy target, but guess what? He went through the process by contacting individuals like the law enforcement, but they couldn't do anything. Why? Because they really didn't have a paper trail except for his credit card. And again, once your identity is stolen via credit card, cut the credit card up and get another one. Because now they have access to your credit card number and they can charge on your credit card. Even if they don't have your credit card, because if they buy something online, they can put your number in the computer, they have your information. So I will say this. If something is requiring you to give money for money, know that's a scam. Know that it is a scam and it should be questioned. That's suspicion right off the top. Fair use. Let's continue.
And so now I got this in the mail yesterday.
Yeah.
And it said I owe $19,102.90, and they said the minimum payment was $512.90.
Right.
I don't have that kind of money. I don't have any money to pay.
No, I understand that, and we talked about why you won't need to do that. Well, this is kind of, I explained this is kind of a fairly common scam that they use. They take advantage of elderly people that are trusting.
Yeah.
That don't imagine anyone would do anything like this. So Lee, thanks talking to me about this. So if you're a senior, or anyone for that matter, but they prey on seniors on these scams.
Yeah, well,
If someone calls you and say they're from Publishing Clearinghouse and you won an award, I can assure you that is a scam.
Oh yeah, well, I found out the hard way.
You found out the hard way. I had a lady call me yesterday who happened to get through to me on the phone here at Helps, and she was excited because she got a letter from overseas saying that she was going to get $4 million, and it was from some prince in some country that, and he said, there's no money up front, Mr. Olson. I know, they're not asking me for any money. And I told her, I said, it's a scam. I said, eventually they will ask you for money, and then you're gonna pay them, and they're gonna do this and that, and they have a very sophisticated system. But this Publishers Clearinghouse, if you get a notice, if you get a call from them, just hang up that phone.
Oh yeah, definitely. I found out.
Okay, thanks, Lee, for talking to us.
Well, you just heard it for yourself. If something sounds too good to be true, it's not true. Now, again, when it comes to getting suspicious calls, even suspicious text messages and emails from a publisher's clearinghouse or any other company or somebody posing from that company, don't even answer. Why? Because they are asking you for money. Like you just heard the gentleman, and the gentleman who was talking, he was an attorney. Now, when he just explained at the end of the video where he got, some lady called up and she got $4 million. Right there, that one word overseas, that already put a red flag in my head that, no, it's a scam. Now, this video, some of you might not be interested in the content that I'm providing, but if you listen carefully, I know some of you out there have been scammed. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make you aware of what's going on out there, because you have people out there who want your money. And after COVID, a lot of individuals have been utilizing scams to hustle innocent people out of their money. Now, if you're going to scam somebody, who are you going to go after? The most vulnerable individuals. Now, the elderly are your most vulnerable. Now, how can they pull off these scams? Well, again, social media. You don't let everybody into your social media account. That's the first thing. I know my Facebook account, so I don't go on it. It got hacked. Somebody put up a picture and posed as me. So I deleted that account. Individuals can get your credit card. And here's how they can do it. Don't be too quick to give your social security number over the phone, because they can find out a lot about you. And besides Publishers Clearinghouse, there are a lot of other scams that take place. But one thing that's common with all these scams is you have the individuals, they're asking you to go to Walmart, pick up a gift card. That should tell you right then and there. A gift card. Well, what am I going to do with a gift card? Give it to somebody? Or if I have to go to the bank to withdraw money to give you to pay taxes, well, first of all, I'm not taking a bunch of money out of the bank to pay somebody to pay taxes for me, when all I have to do is send an electronic check or write a check to send to the state revenue department or the IRS. Also, when it comes to Publishers Clearinghouse, they don't call you. They never call you. They'll send you something in the mail. And when it comes to the IRS, they don't call you either. Now, you may be able to contact them if you're patient enough to wait on the phone, because you're going to be waiting for a long time. So with these scammers out here, there is a method to their madness. And that's your vulnerability. That's your lack of knowing what's going on. And that's also being too quick to give up your information. And just with anything, not just Publishers Clearinghouse. And I'm going to say it again. If somebody is asking you to pay money to get money, back out of it ASAP. Because once you give them your money, now your identity is compromised. And number two, this gentleman sent cash and then he had to go and get money off of his credit card. He was already doomed. After the first time he gave money to a stranger that he only heard his voice. I always say, when you do business, do it face to face. And because we have different ways of communicating today, I will tell you this: don't give everybody your phone number, because you don't know who's on the other side of that phone. Yeah, people can video chat. There are a lot of suspicions out there, but this one right here, this one is very common. Also, the Nigerian scams, when somebody is asking you to send them money, because basically it's the same thing. Somebody's asking you to send them money and they're going to promise you some money. It's a scam. Anything coming from overseas, for the most part, it's a scam. And if you get a suspicious email and you can't comprehend the language, that's when you should get an attorney. I mean, we don't know everything. We're all vulnerable. But what I'm suggesting everyone to do is be more proactive. Your money is a resource that you worked hard for. Your identity, that's been given to you. And when that's stripped, they're basically taking your resources, they're taking your sanity, and they're also taking your name. And they're doing it without lifting a finger. So I would always say, watch out for some of these individuals who are foreign. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's foreign is bad, but generally, that's where a lot of your scams are taking place. So remember, always ask questions. Check with your Federal Trade Commission or your state's attorney general. Bottom line, your identity. Always keep your identity. You live once. You have a number of people that are trying to target you. So don't be desperate. And if you're elderly, just continue to learn what's going on around you. Education is fundamental. And you have individuals who are very, very good with scams. And if they see any vulnerability, they're going to take advantage of you. So again, if something sounds too good to be true, it isn't true. And always follow the action. And never pay a fee for money that you think you're going to get. Because in the end, you end up with your identity stolen. Be smart. Understand that scams take place. Don't fall for the okie doke. Because if you do, you're going to be out of resources. You're going to go insane. You may even fall into depression. Why? Because you allowed yourself to be taken advantage of by someone who intended to deceive you. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, and I'm going to build that channel up to be even greater than this channel. I have a lot more information coming on that channel. You can check the QCIS channel along with the 411 Talk Zone radio show channel on Twitter. Now, for the QCIS channel, since it's an educational channel, I take it one step further. You can always find that channel on my LinkedIn page. And once again, I always tell you this: be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.